Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today I'm going to work on this JDM GSR EK hatchet I picked up for 1,800 bucks. Yeah, the steal of a century. Got a great deal on this car, and I'm going to give it a little bit of love today because I picked this car up a couple weeks ago, and if you guys watched that video, you know that the car has actually been sitting for quite a while, and the oil that was in it was pretty dark. So I drained the oil out of it, and it had a really small oil pan gasket leak, nothing crazy, but if you guys have had a Honda B-Series before, the oil pan is like notorious for leaking. And today I'm going to show you guys, I'm changing the oil. I'm also going to seal up the oil pan for good. And I'm going to do that using Felpro's new gasket that they have. So the reason that these oil pan gaskets are the GOAT, they're the greatest pan gasket you can put on a B-Series, is because they actually have a metal liner built into the gasket. So you can actually crank down the bolts without the gasket wanting to push out. So on these setups, when you tighten the oil pan onto the engine with the regular rubber gaskets, if you over torque the pan gasket or tighten it just a little bit too much, the gasket wants to push out and it won't seal there. On the flip side, if you torque them to spec, which is kind of loose, I feel like the seal, it's just not the greatest. So I like to, I have a tendency to over torque everything. I tighten stuff a little bit too much. I go right to the point where it's going to break or strip, and I stop. I have a good feel for that kind of stuff because I've been wrenching on stuff for a long time, and I've screwed up a lot of bolts and I've stripped out a lot of threads. I guess it just comes with experience. But I love these pan gaskets, and to pair with this new pan gasket, I'm going to throw on this Moroso 5.5 quart oil pan that I picked up. And I like running these oil pans on the B-Series stuff just because you do get the extra capacity, which is always going to help so you don't starve the pan of oil when you're revving the thing to 9 grand all day, baby. VTEC and Bro, you'll still have that extra 1.5 quart of oil with this 5.5 quart pan. But I haven't picked up one of these pans in quite some time, and they used to be pretty damn good. I don't know if I just got a defective one or what, but I took the plate, that's like the baffling plate or whatever, I took that out of here, and this thing's just, I don't know, it's just not looking the greatest. There's a bunch of slag, like this is all weld spatter that's like in the pan, and it actually had welding wire stuck down in here by the drain plug, or by the oil temp sensor plug. And like it's just kind of like, it looks rusty almost. So I'm gonna do a thorough clean of this thing before I put it on, but like I said, this is brand new. I ordered it brand new. So it's just kind of funny, you know, new stands for never even worked or never ever worked. I don't know, I kind of expected better out of Moroso. Like I said, maybe I got a dud, but I actually contacted the seller that I bought this oil pan from, and they said that's kind of what Moroso has been lately. You know, stuff's just kind of not as good, right? But for the price, you'd think it's okay. That's why I try to offer you guys the best parts for the money. I may not sell the best quality parts, but in my opinion, they're the best for the money, and that's the stuff that I use on all of my projects. With a few exceptions, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I like to splurge and get some nice parts, but I got some PCI suspension stuff over there. Sometimes I like to splurge on nice stuff, but for the most part, I try to build as economically as possible. You know, the stuff that's gonna work for the amount of money you're spending. Sometimes you buy really nice stuff and it doesn't always pay off. And I learned that the hard way when I was 18 years old. I came up on some money when I was 18 and I blew like $10,000 on a badass Civic build. And the turbo blew up. It was a name brand turbo. and it just had issues. So ever since then, I learned my lesson the hard way, spending a lot of money on parts and not kind of knowing what I was doing, and it still had problems. So that's kind of why I made the YouTube channel here, guys, so I can try to teach you guys and show you guys what's been working for me. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Anyways, I started pulling the exhaust off, so I got to pull the rest of the header off of this thing. It wasn't really bolted together at this section here, but yeah, so I'm gonna pull the header and then we'll get the oil pan bolts off. I got the oil drained out of it already, and then there's a couple brackets here, dust cover, and we'll get the oil pan off, take an inspection of this thing, because before I do any dynoing and maybe some added horsepower at some point, I want to make sure this engine's 100% healthy, and then we can also verify that it is completely bone stock. This engine is like unopened, unmolested JDM GSR, and I'm going to keep it that way, other than a few little Hunter Tune touches. All right, guys, so I got the oil pan off of the GSR, and this thing is looking super good. Inside the pan is completely clean. There is zero metal anywhere, and overall just really clean inside the motor. So over here, the pickup tube is really clean. Everything is completely stock. I'm gonna show you real quick, just to show you that this thing has like completely stock rods and everything. It's just completely untouched. Ooh, you might be able to see up there. That's a stock rod, boy. Stock rod bolts, everything. So yeah, and like I said, inside the pickup tube and everything, just spotless. It looks awesome. So that's a good indicator of a motor too. Like if you guys are questioning, like, is there bearing wear, stuff like that, pull the oil pan. It'll tell you a lot. But now we're gonna install Miss Moroso 5.5 quart oil pan, Mr. Sketch Boy over here. This is gonna be the whole theme to this whole build, guys. Like, this is gonna be one expensive part I'm putting on, and it's probably gonna be the most sketchy piece just because there's like weld slag and shit. I cleaned out as much as I could, but I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna get this thing sealed up. So I got the pan cleaned out as best as I can, and with these Fel-Pro gaskets, they actually give you this little tube of gray RTV silicone included with the gasket, so that's pretty nice of them. So I take some of this and I just smear it all the way around the pan. Just a little thin layer is all you need. Maybe get a little bit heavier in the corners where the rear main and the oil pump seal and stuff like that. So just get a little smear coating on it, and then I take the gasket. Here we got the kick out. We got to look for the kick out, which something like this maybe. All right, so then I lay the gasket onto the pan. Make sure all our bolt holes are lined up, which is looking real good. And then I'm just going to put another little layer of RTV on this side of the gasket. Just a little layer, and then we'll chuck it up. Make sure when you put the pan on, right before you put it onto the motor, that you wipe off any of the little oil stains and stuff. Obviously, when you pull the pan, there's still a little bit of oil and stuff that comes out. So just make sure you wipe all that clean right before you put the pan on. That's what I do. Then the RTV can actually cure to metal instead of the pan. So I'm gonna just smear a little bit of coating. Say hi, Roxy. Say hello, Roxanne. Hello, Roxy. Hello. Hello, Roxy. Hi. All right, so like I said, I'm just gonna take a little bit, do a little douche in like each little spot here, get a little bit heavier on the outsides and the corners, a little dab, little dab, little dab. And this little tube that they give you of RTV is almost perfect, like amount that you need. You'll still have extra left over. And some guys are like, oh, I hate guys that use RTV, they're using too much and blah, blah, blah. You know what I say to those guys is my shit don't leak. So we'll just smear it around with our finger. like I said, get it a little heavier maybe in the on the outsides of the gasket over here. And once we get it all smeared in, we'll throw it on the car. Alright guys, so it's been a couple days since I got the oil pan on and nothing's leaking. It's been sitting here for a couple days. I've run it and moved it around the shop a little bit over there. But yeah, so the oil pan install went really good. Other than just kind of cleaning out the inside just to make sure from any machining or welding that was done on the pan, I just kind of did a once over on it, which you might have to do as well if you buy this pan. But the pan gasket technique that I did seems to be working really well so far, and I'll probably keep you guys updated to let you know if it ever starts leaking in the future. But since the car's up on the lift, I also got the exhaust back on, and I got a wideband sensor into the exhaust here, and just kind of ran that up. And I'm putting a wideband in the car because I just like having a wideband in my cars all the time, so I can keep an eye on the air fuel and make it easier to diagnose power issues and stuff like that. It's a great idea just to have one in your car regardless if you are doing this kind of stuff. Just pick up an AEM Uego or the AEM X series and just do it. Just do it. So now I'm going to finish up the wideband install. We're going to get this thing back down on the ground and get it ready to hit the dyno soon. And we're going to do some baseline runs with it in the next video and figure out what kind of power this little thing makes as is, and then we might do a little bit of tuning on it, and then we're going to start adding some parts to improve the power as well. So stay tuned for that stuff coming soon, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.